Today we will create a contour gauge in this episode of our series How to Create Simple Tools with xDesign. What is a contour gauge? Well, here I would like to clamp this circular saw to make a table saw, but I tried to measure saw contour and the result was poor. So I use a contour gauge to take the exact contour and reproduce it on a piece of wood. I block sliders and positions to keep the right contour when I draw on the wood board. Then I cut along the line to clamp the saw safely. It works also to cut tiles in complex corners like around this door frame. I create a new physical product that can be a part or an assembly. You don't have to choose if you don't know yet, as we have done in previous episodes. Then I create a reference sketch that will contain overall shapes of all parts in this assembly. If I need to change dimension later, I will just have to change this sketch to update the whole assembly. This is called a layout sketch. To activate external references, click on this icon in the assembly toolbar. Once overall sketch is created, I build other sketches linked to this one and I make components from each of these sketches. First, I convert the whole reference sketch in a new one and remove geometry from other parts. Then you can see true power of single modeling environment in xDesign. We have some sketches and some features like this extrusion, but we will create a part in this physical product directly from features. It will create a component and my physical product is now an assembly. For second part, I will do slightly differently. I create a part from the sketch. Then I activate the part I created so the next extrusion is added to the component and not in the assembly. In the other direction, I create the profile for white blades that will slide to capture the contour. Please note I only make one half and create dimensions across the axis to transform them into symmetrical dimensions. This is one of the many nice features making life easier in xDesign. Please note shape of each extremity to use for different kinds of part shapes. Flat will line correctly on ruled surfaces and V extremities will fit better on cylindrical shapes. Remember that sketch entity colors define their degrees of freedom. Blue entities can still move, black ones are fully defined. So I add relations and dimensions to fully define my blade sketch. I do that to make sure nothing moves in the sketch during the rest of the modeling process. I just have to define extrusion thickness, not too thin so it is strong enough, but not too thick, so resolution is small enough to avoid stair-stepping effect. Now I make a pattern for other blades. Do not forget to uncheck Merge Results to create a multi-body part and not just a massive block that would join all blades together. I now create blade clamping system in housing parts. There will be a cavity for a nut and a cavity for a pressing part. I made the cavity so nut cannot turn. It will be easier to fasten the knob. I then create a hole for this bolt and selecting end face will cut all material I need to remove and no more. Then I would like housing parts to be perfectly aligned. For that matter, I create a groove in upper part and a boss in lower part that will fit together. I create a sketch in upper part with equal and symmetric relationships to make sure everything is balanced correctly. See how I can take internal edge to align top of triangle. Any entity in the 3D model can be used to define sketches, but also other geometries. This is one of the many powers we'll have with 3D modeling in xDesign. In lower part, I create a boss with an offset to keep a clearance, and I use projected offset and extrusion up to surface, so I do not have to measure anything. I like that. This way, if I change sketch in upper part, extrusion will change automatically in lower part. A boss on each side of the lower part will be enough to guide parts together. Again, as I select end face, I do not have to know dimensions and it will update if any change. See how easy it is to reuse the same sketch to make an extrusion between two faces on the other extremity. No need to create another sketch, it is easier and I avoid errors. To create mounting holes, I change display to see edges through the parts. So I create hole where I'm sure there is some material. You must admit, it would be a shame to drill into my marvelous clamping system. Just kidding. To make sure holes are balanced correctly, I use a centered rectangle to drive holes symmetrically and I start with head clearance holes. Of course, I measured bolt head to add the right dimension and of course with an offset, so bolt moves freely. See how I'm assisted when I add a circle on the rectangle and I ask xDesign to propose the next best move. I don't think we can call that artificial intelligence, because it doesn't learn for next time, but more a kind of design assistant based on common rules. You find this kind of assistants everywhere in xDesign. Holes are built coincident, so again they will update together with any change. We saw lower part as a clearance to let bolts move freely, but in upper part I will save nuts using smaller holes than the bolt. So the bolt will create its own thread to stay in place. For M3 bolts, I use 2.8mm holes. Of course, I projected lower part holes to make sure everything is aligned without adding disconnected dimensions. Holes are cut through hole, so they will adapt to any future thickness change. Then I create a simple box between blades and clamping bolt so it can press on blades without damaging them. Pressing a bolt on a plastic part can produce big efforts on a thin part like a blade. But on the other hand, if only the box is damaged, it is quick and easy to print and replace in a couple of minutes, faster than a blade. If I know that block needs to be replaced often, I will print several blocks in advance next time. After adding a couple of constraints, block is ready to use. As you can see, construction planes and model faces can be used for me. In the next video, we'll finish the project. I will add standard hardware, create a knob, and change a couple of colors before printing everything and use this tool in my workshop. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.